So, aloha mai kako, my name is Taylor Ho, and I'm a designer. I have the privilege of speaking with you all today, a little bit about myself, but more importantly, something I'm very passionate about, my Hawaiian culture and how it's paved the way for me to be successful in tech. So today, I'm a senior UI UX designer at Twitch at our headquarters over at San Francisco. In my past, I've worked at companies like Unity Technologies. I've actually started my career not too far from here, down Ala Moana Boulevard in downtown Honolulu at Wall Studios. Okay, now by show of hands, who here considers themselves a creative? All right, okay. So now for the rest of you that didn't raise your hands, what about your work? Is what you do creative? All right, lots of nodding heads. Okay, cool. I'm in the right room. That's the majority of us here. So because of that, I'm really excited to spend these next few days with everybody here at JSConf. Harnessing creativity, I guess, has been this ongoing adventure of mine, from printing my earliest sticker slaps to producing on-the-street interview shows to working on short films and making surfboards and making t-shirts and producing graphics. Now, amongst the many, there's one craft that has always had my heart: web design. Web design? I mean, if you could call this that. So like many of you, I started building websites at a very early age. I was 14 at the time when I published this work of art to the World Wide Web. It was a mix of boilerplate PHP templates, FTP applications that I just kind of learned as I went, and Photoshop tutorials on pirated software. It was kind of like all just duct taped together, barely holding up. Now, fast forward 15 years, I work on designing products that touch millions today. Twitch is a popular live streaming platform, most well known for gaming and esports, but it also has growing communities within our IRL or in real life categories like travel, art, and exercise. It's the kind of place to work where culture fit means identifying memes. It's amazing. So now I design products. What does that actually mean? So using this design software like Figma, I come up with interfaces and user flows for the things that we ship to our users. A couple examples include, on the left, the email verification step during new user onboarding, and dead center is our new channel profile page. This is kind of like cutting edge stuff. I think we ran it to an experiment group so far, so it's technically public. I also dip into my roots as a developer. Using internal build systems like our in-house UI prototype tool, I build in-browser prototypes. Knowing React and TypeScript has allowed me to be just dangerous enough. The biggest benefit is deeply understanding how our primitives work together in a kind of a production-like environment. These prototypes are used as proof of concepts as well as tools for user testing. But I low-key just like flexing on my engineers every now and then. I'm also the designer responsible for the great roundification of user avatars. It's something we did some 8 months ago. You'd expect this to have been a fairly straightforward process. Just update the default border radius enum that's on our avatar component. But half of design is building support for your ideas. And at Twitch, don't expect things to be that easy. Now, I've often wondered what has helped inspire my creativity. In these last 15 years, a lot of life and a lot of learnings have happened. How did I end up working in such a rapidly growing industry? Now, I think it has a lot to do with very fortunate timing. I grew up in the internet age. I had a computer at home. But above all, there was one thing that has continued to inspire me creatively. I really do believe, being born and raised with the values and hard knocks of a Hawaiian culture, that any impact I've been able to achieve has been rooted in my upbringing. The first concept I'd like to share with you all today is kolohe. Repeat after me, kolohe. So you could define kolohe as mischievous, rascal, rogue, or to be a prankster. One thing I know for sure, Hawaiians are kolohe. The invent of the flip camera phone. Amazing. So kolohe, it's in the kaona, our metaphor in our music. It's in the stories we told in our history. It's in our nature. A lot of growing up was about having fun and going against the grain. We'd always follow up talking story about our mishaps, either at each other's houses or at the lunch table. We'd always have a laugh at whose antics topped the rest. This one is allegedly me. I say allegedly because, you know, statutes of limitations and stuff. I apologize if sometime back in 2009, you were randomly missing a rubbish can cover. Now in hindsight, maybe it was an interest in taking risks. It was all about what stories would stick. We're all excited about pushing the boundaries and seeing what we could get away with. Growing up, kolohe has taught me about being calculated when taking risks. What better way to grow comfortable with risks than throwing rationale at it, right? Nowadays, the consequences can take the business down. So for that reason, I've come up with the framework on how to approach risk. So first, set out what you're going to do. This is the fun part. Decide what you're going to try. At work, this is driven by team goals and things that impact your users. In my former life, this was probably driven by peer pressure and a lack of self-awareness. Now, this next step is the careful balance of risk and reward. This is the exact part that we skipped when we were younger. So, you know, to apply to tech, with an A/B testing framework set up, you can actually mitigate risk by sending a limited set of users to a specific variant. Now, given you've thought about it, adjust your approach or just go for it. Now, assuming you did it, learn, adjust, and depending on the type of project, try again. One of my first projects at Twitch was supporting the marathon team. The engineering team would take hard drives of episodes and stream them back to back for days on end using tools like FFmpeg. We would also build out unique experience for these channel pages. The Mr. Rogers Marathon hit home for a lot of us. The marathon was unique because it added a fundraising component for local PBS stations. The marathon happened at a very critical time in 2017. Public broadcasting funding was under threat by the new acting president. I won't mention names. We wanted to see if we could, for lack of a better word, manufacture delight for our users. We had an ongoing hypothesis that getting users to meme in chat would lead them to coming back. Who wants to miss the next inside joke? We did this by applying a black and white CSS filter to the entire interface during the black and white episodes that aired during the 1960s. Needless to say, we learned a ton from this experiment. We indeed did get negative feedback. For one, chat complained from telling others, you know, they did some like rationale calculation for how many seasons were left, how long they had to wait until the black and white would go away, or they just like straight up complained because that's what chat does. Then we started seeing, interestingly, YouTube tutorials start popping up for how to actually open Inspector and disable our CSS. Then, of course, I had to hear out coworkers that weren't so amused by our active jest. But then again, we also got positive feedback. Chat did what chat does, and it memed in all of its glory. There were jokes about black and white TV and the invention of color. Not only that, but our fundraiser was largely successful. We raised over $42,000 for our local PBS stations. On top of that, we got really good feedback internally. I had a director reach out excited about our team being bold in finding ways to delight our users. Making an impact on the world is just going to take a little kolohe. That's my boy. Okay, so the next concept that I'd like to share with you all is rooted in aloha. Repeat after me, aloha mai. Okay, now aloha aku. Very good. So you could define aloha as hello or goodbye. I'm sure when you walked in the airport, you heard all kinds of shaka bratas like, oh, aloha cuz. But it also means love, affection, compassion, mercy, sympathy, kindness, sentiment, and grace. Here's a quote from probably the most renowned ambassador of Aloha, Duka Hanamoku. Here he talks about his perception of Aloha. To distill it down, Aloha is about love, understanding, making friends, and taking care of one another. He leaves us with the call to action to meet and leave people with Aloha everywhere you go. Now, aku is a directional marker for all my vocab geeks out there. So aloha and aku together means putting good vibes out into the world. Be generous with your time. When people reach out for help, be happy to meet. A part of it is remembering where you were a year ago, say 5 years ago. Think back to when you just got started. And be friendly, smile, make eye contact, say what's up to the guy that you see in the hallway all the time. In contrast, the suffix mai reverses the direction. If done right, opportunities will start to come your way. Be open to them. Trust the people you meet by default, then calibrate by learning to tell the bad from the good. Have an air of receptiveness. Be an antenna for good things, and good things will come to you. So for all my visual thinkers, first, you must carry aloha with you everywhere you go. This is the exact concept of aloha aku. So you're kind of like putting it out into the world. Naturally, people will reciprocate. It's kind of the idea of aloha mai. You'll end up receiving it. And you'll find that aloha propagates aloha. Impact what's around you, and what's around you will impact you. That's just how it works. So today I live in San Francisco. It's this hustle and bustle, being surrounded by hundreds of thousands of people, kind of all packed in this 40-something square miles. It's easy to forget the importance of being kind, generous, and thoughtful. But by carrying aloha, you stand out, and it has even more of an impact on people. Now, who here knows how you would order one of these in Hawaii? What would you call it? Oh, brah, plate lunch, that's my dog. What's up, my dog? Plate lunch, mixed plate is another word too. So here is one of the more famous examples of a mixed plate over at Rainbow's Drive-In. It's about 10 minutes from here, right off Kalakaua Avenue. We can go check them out later, tap me on the shoulder, we go. I get my forerunner. Consider the variation of food here, from mahi-mahi to chicken to terry beef, potato salad, all over a bed of rice. Contingent on your plans that afternoon, gravy all over. Altogether, this mix is heavenly. A plate lunch a mixed plate is a plate lunch with several types of main or entree servings put on the same plate. It's also how you describe someone with multiple ethnic backgrounds. Kind of funny, yeah. So a lot of us here have rich mixed heritages. A quarter of us here are mixed, essentially, in one way or another. Researchers at Pew Research Center actually found that Hawaii has the most mixed people in the United States. I, for one, am a mixed plate. Native Hawaiian, Chinese, Japanese, Portuguese, German, ololo squash is what we call it. That's kind of like all of the best foods all in one. That's me. So I tend to also follow this path in my professional life. UX designer, UI developer, motion graphics, graphic design, data visualization. It tends to lead to a lot of inner turmoil, but I digress. So this diversity or range is a strength. It's kind of like having more tools in the tool belt, so to say. In a recent piece published in the New York Times, the title says it all. Want to be less racist? Move to Hawaii. The article's point expands beyond race, though. Further, it talks about how navigating multiple worlds enhances mental flexibility. The opposite of mental flexibility is what we call a cognitive bias. It's known as functional fixedness. It's the inability to think outside of the box. It's essentially the expectation that people have when they approach new problems with old solutions, expecting different results. Even those arguing about tech's path to paramount success As they say, what got you here won't get you there. Whether a part of the team or leading one, remember the things that make you, you. It takes every one of us, all aspects of us, to produce creative solutions. At a macro or team level, it's all about surrounding yourself with people who think differently than yourself. Here in Hawaii, we're constantly faced by different thinking people. From your friends, to your neighbors, to your classmates, to your distant family members, whatever, my cousins, aunties, brothers, cousins, husbands, boyfriend, oh, mahu. We're constantly face to face with a diverse population. Context switching becomes natural. Now, it's not about hiring diversely to meet a quota. Hiring those with novel problem solving will improve your ability to innovate. And because we don't have the brilliant minds of marginalized people contributing, we need to start welcoming them in more. The next concept I'd like to share is lokahi. Repeat after me, lokahi. You could define lokahi as unity, agreement, or harmony. I learned lokahi in the canoe. I grew up racing canoes in my early teens to my 20s. We were super competitive. We were absolutely obsessed with winning. In the canoe, everyone serves a role. There's no dead weight in the boat. One sets the pace, another watches closely to keep the canoe in sync. A couple stay true and just blast. The next works as the utility man, and the last controls the direction of the boat, just like in tech. When applying lokahi at work, consider the Triforce. I'm really good at these animations. I do it for a living. It's a mix of experts in multiple disciplines. At work, it's the mix of product engineering and design. Just like in the canoe, we all rely on each other for what we bring to the team. For example, design brings visual thinking and a passion for the user experience. Engineering brings systems thinking and a deep understanding of the feasibility of building a thing. And product brings coordination and an understanding of product viability. There are also interdependent dynamics between each of us. It's critical that we trust each other and give feedback when it's needed. The improvement of one of us strengthens the whole system. In the end, when we work together, magic is the result. At work, it's building things we're proud of. In the canoe, it was state championships. Humble brag, we won 3. So now, it takes more than just the 3 of us at work. Like a child, a good product takes a village. Consider how any of these aforementioned dynamics can be applied to the multitude of supporting functions that exist on our team. Aina ia mai ana kapuana, and that means, and so the story is told. So what I'll leave you with is, now that I've shared a bit about myself, I'd love to hear about you. What's the story that you want to tell yourself as someone that works in tech? Are you a face that you don't see too many of in the tech crowd? Know the value that you bring and lead with your uniqueness. Of course, you need to know your explicit trade, say flawless, test-driven JavaScript, but let your personal background shine. Are you in a position to hire? Look out for these people. Remember that these unique thinkers will be the key to your success. And with that, mahalo nui. Aloha, aloha, aloha.